Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the Shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Manny Talks Shooting is proudly presented to you by D2 Custom Guns. Did you know that Phil the Groundhog isn't the only thing Puxatawny, Pennsylvania is famous for? That's right, D2 Custom Guns, the home of Dan Heizenreiter and one of the best, fabulous 2011 builders in the country. So make sure you guys go check him out, D2 Custom, anywhere you can see him on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, go check him out. If you see myself, Patches Reader, anyone with the D2 Custom Guns, make sure you go check him out, and you will thank me later. Now, let's get on to the show. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the only podcast presented to you by D2 Custom Guns, the finest 2011 builder in the country. Myself and my guest, we can say that all we want, but it's true. Go find somebody else to say it. It's fine. We're totally not biased, as you can see by banners behind us and this really cool hat. It's all good. And guns. And Mine are in the dojo. But anywho, go check out Dan, d2customguns.com. As anyone listening on the audio version, Drew is Vanna Whiting his fabulous LO blaster.
Oh yeah.
Is beautiful. That thing is beautiful. But as anyone listens, we are sitting down with my buddy again. It's been a long time. I have to actually look back and see how long it's been. But we're sitting down with my buddy Drew Maruski. How you doing, Drew?
How you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah. Finally see you. I mean, it's only been like since August since I've actually seen you.
Yeah, in person it's only been a couple months. On the podcast, it's been a couple years. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now because now I'm curious. So. I will keep talking, though, so people don't have to listen to dead silence because that's my job. But it's really not my job. Oh, I hate when they got to log back into things. You got to click the certain buttons that you need, and it's just a pain in the butt. All right. Why does everything got to log you out? It's a pain in the butt.
Technology. I love it.
Yep. All right. So that was 7/24 of 2023. That's been a long time. That's been a long time. I don't know. Were you a GM by then?
I don't know. I don't know if I was right. I think I was right about Master, maybe about to approach GM. I think I know it was definitely Master, but might have been right at GM. I don't know. I have to look back at the log and actually see when I made it. But
yeah, because that was right after Kentucky. Did you go to Kentucky that year?
No, because that was my first year at CONS.
That's right. And it was like the next weekend.
Yeah.
And that's right, because it was hot as balls. It was Patches and Dan and Ryan. I remember that because I had the worst bay possible. Nothing against Leif, but that bay sucked because there was no shade. It was just bacon sun. It was rough. Actually, I got this
year because with Factory Gun being out in Utah, I'm probably not going to be traveling out there for that. So I might have to see what the Kentucky State match is looking like again.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of matches. There's a bunch of matches that I want to go to, but I ain't got the time, or I don't have the time off. I do have the time off, but I don't have the time off. You know what I mean? You don't have enough to go in. I'm gonna go like every match, right?
Yeah, that's where I got to kind of limit myself too, because I was already looking at my schedule. And I'm like, all right, I'm already signed up for like 7, I think, so far. So it's like,
yeah, but how many of them are within like not that far of a drive?
Well, yeah, so that's the thing. Like, if it's only like a 2-hour drive or something, it's like, all right, we can squeeze that in. But if it's like a Kentucky where you know you're going to be there a couple of days, it's like you got to kind of plan that out. Plus, if you have majors like the weekend prior, the weekend after, I feel like you're just kind of like hopscotching. Like you drive home, clean all your stuff, basically reload the car, and you're off to somewhere else, which sounds fun. but like towards the end of the season, that can be kind of rough. So I try to space it out to where it's like 3 weeks in between if possible. But
Right, and then
and
you're
then,
not getting murdered at home for not being home.
something, but he knows it's good fun, and like I say, it keeps me out of trouble. And like I say, it's you keep your priorities. I like to always say you have to have the work, the home, and the training all in balance.
Yep.
One of those got to balance, and it'll have compounding effects on the other two. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
kind of you gotta play with the work schedule and then the home schedule, and as long as those coordinate, then it's like all right. That's kind of how Maryland State match was last year. I signed up like a week prior to it, and then jumped in the car, drove down, got the match, and then drove home same day.
Right, and probably probably had to give him a check.
Yeah, I can't remember how I did. Um, yeah, I think I sent it. No, because it was B did, or I did it right over PayPal, and then when I had to show up, I just had to do the final registration thing.
Gotcha.
So but it was definitely they squeezed me in, and definitely thumbs up for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to my season so far. I've got a couple majors on the docket this year, but yeah, we're looking at. I think I'm starting my season off with Buckeye in June, beginning of June, um, and then I don't have another major until July, where Area 5 up in Michigan, and then Race Gun Nationals in August, and then Western PA in September, and that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I got them written down here. Yeah, Buckeye Blast, Area 5, Area 8, Race Gun Nats, IPSC Nats, Maryland State, Western PA Sectional, and so I was saying, like, that's like it's a nice full list to go with right now. So, it's
Yeah, I gotta tell. I think I gotta force Chris into getting the Airbnb set up for Western PA. I think that's a. Remember, I'm the one who can poke the bear. I'm not the one who wants to play in it. We've talked about this. I'm not the Airbnb planner.
I just kind of asked where we're going, give me an address, and what I got to pay, and I'll see you there.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So like I said, it's been a minute. It's been a long while since you've been on the podcast. Oh God. Where do I want to go with this? You made if you weren't a GM by the time that happened, well, you made GM in Carry Optics and you made GM in Limited Optics without even knowing.
Yeah, it was actually one of the last matches, little local match, I shot down East Huntington, and I never really check that stuff. You know what I mean? I just kind of shoot it, and however I do, it's like all right, cool. And then I was actually just looking at like end of season stats and just looking at stuff for progression. And so I guess I just squeaked into limited optics for like 95 cents. I'll take it. We're shooting it with it. We're doing it with a Canic. You know what I mean? A plastic frame Canic, and I'll do it.
Yeah. Now you're just gonna dunk them in the safe and never pull them back out.
It's weird. Yeah, I mean, I still do, but it's like now that I got the D2 set up, I still like to shoot it though because, like I said, until there's a second 2011 around, it's the backup gun in case something would ever happen. So I got to kind of stay a little bit familiar with it, and it's also a little bit of appreciation of knowing what I was using and now what I've been using. And
Yeah, exactly.
if there's ever a time where like you're complaining and you don't think it's good, you go back to something you started with, and then you'll realize it's like, yeah, okay, no, this is great.
Right.
There's no tinkering. There's no messing around with it. There's nothing. I'm loading. I'm getting a hand load made for it, and that's it. No
Right.
messing around. I like to
Yeah.
train dry fire more than I like to reload and tinker and tune. So
I hate reloading. But you know, with open, I got to reload. It's the only downside of it.
well, that's kind of why I went like limited optics because it's at least I can use components I already have. You know, what I mean, you can kind of transfer over. Not that I really couldn't for open, for 9 major, but it was just the ability to just train and shoot and compete. Like I
You know what?
told Dan, I don't do fancy. I just want a workhorse, something that I know is just going to run. And I mean, that's like, don't get me wrong, open's fun, dude. I've shot open many times. The D2 guns are flawless. They're flat. They're fun. Like you said, the reloading and tinkering, not quite my tea yet. But,
Hey, if you shoot a D2 gun in open, you don't have to tinker with it because Dan sets it up just fine. I
oh
don't
no,
understand. I don't understand why people tinker with the guns after they get them. I don't.
no, it's never the gun. It's usually like the hand load. You know what I mean? Like whatever you're trying to reload for, power factor wise. Like that's when I say like the tinkering. That's the only thing I've done with mine. Is I'm just getting a nice hand load for majors, and then I can shoot Blazer 124 for practice or anything else, and
Mm-hmm.
go with that. And like I said, it's open's definitely fun. Like if you're shooting one of Dan's open guns, there's really the only time you just got to keep them clean. That's the only thing I'm doing. Just keep them
Yeah.
clean.
Have you seen Chris's guns?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They run dirt. I'm not
Oh,
emphasizing like they're not a they're not going to be something you got to clean every 400 rounds. But
right.
definitely want to just keep an eye on once you get to like 3,000, 4,000 rounds. You know what I mean? But Chris has it. His guns are like a weird entity. They just they just run. I don't know how many rounds he'll put on them, but they run great. I mean, all Dan's guns run good, dude. I've never shot one of his guns that didn't really run good or wasn't a great shooter or accurate. I mean, Dan really puts a lot of effort into his build.
Oh, he does. Yeah, 100%. He does.
And he's an old school machinist, man, so he knows exactly what he's looking for. And he always tells us how he can hear his slides racking in a match. He
It
just
was
knows
it
what he
was
knows.
funny. I think it was. I was on the phone with him at one point, and I just pick up my gun and put it next to the phone. He's like, "I know that noise."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and he does. He takes great pride in what he does. You know what I mean? So it's kind of you tell him exactly what you want with your setup, and he'll make it happen. That's just it.
Yeah, he was telling me the other day about a tax write off. It was kind of funny. It was he was like he was talking to his girlfriend. And it was funny. I'm just like, oh, this is so good, Dan. Well, I know you listeners don't love to hear about all of our inside jokes, but it's okay. You're gonna have to suffer through us for most of this. You're just forced. They're just along for the ride.
Exactly.
So I want to go. I want to go through last year with you. All right. So what was your first big mat? What was your first major last year in 24? All right. So your first major of last year was the Monsoon and Buckeye Blast. Great way to start the season, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was wild because we got there and we walked stages. It was nice, sunny. Looked like it was gonna be decent. We watched people shoot, and then woke up the next day and went and walked stages again a little bit because we shot in the afternoon first on day one on Saturday, and you just see the Ohio weather rolling in, and it just temperature dropped, and then all of a sudden it started raining, and it never stopped. Temperature dropped through the whole day. It turned to like a wintry mix at one point, but it was like that. It was just hard rain all day. It never stopped, and it just took forever to shoot all the stages. They were starting to get flooded out, and it was rough. But then day two, it cleared up. You know what I mean? It was actually wild. Like day one, it took us about 8, 9 hours to shoot. I think it was like 6 or 7 stages, and then day two, I mean, we were done in like 2 hours just because the amount of people that had just left and gone home and everything. And I don't blame them. It sucked. Day one was terrible. That was probably the worst weather I've ever shot in for a major. But
Well, well,
the crew made it work though, because I'll admit, like there was we started I think with like 11 people on our squad, and the remaining 5 or 6 was just the D2 crew. Everybody else left.
oh yeah. Well, and
But
which is more funny is the people who like I made it all the way through Saturday, but I am
yeah,
so miserable and wet and cold. I am not coming back on Sunday.
yeah,
So
dude, I don't normally check scores, and I was like, man, it's like day one, it was rough, double dot. I mean, if you could find your dot, like that one stage where you get a table start, I mean,
mhm.
it was rough to shoot in, and I didn't think I was where I was at after day one. And I'm like, well, hell, I might as well stay for day two just to see where things end up at. And just as like, I mean, I still shot, I think, like 96% at that match, and I think I was like fifth or sixth in CO. You know what I mean, just because of the way the weather was, like nobody had like a really clean match, as they say. You know what I mean? Like it was just a survive for 2 days. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whoever did that can take that one. But yeah, that made every other major last year a walk in the park. If it was sunny out, it was a great major. If there was no rain, great major.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was great, regardless. Even if you shot bad, it was great because it was not as bad as Buckeye.
Oh yeah, when you gotta go through like all your backup gear, like it was just it was rough. Like I'll admit, like if I wasn't with the squad I was with, I don't know if I would have stayed. You know what I mean? But in the sense, it's always like one of those things where it's like, well, you're here, you trained. Why am I going to go home with 6 stages left or however many left? You know what I mean? You might as well just see it through. Still got to drive home. Still got to go to work on Monday. So at least
Right.
my honor badge of seeing it through. But
Oh yeah. Gotta suffer through it. That's for sure.
yeah.
So, up to that point, with your training, you were just probably coming out of off season or winter, winter mode. How were you feeling behind your skill set at that, going into that match?
I felt good. I mean, I trained all winter, dry fire, and then I have access to indoor facilities where I can work certain things. I mean, obviously you can't work wide transitions, but still being able to train in a comfortable climate definitely helps versus trying to train outdoors in the cold and everything. And then leading up to that major, I've always had a rule where I'll shoot locals regardless of how the weather is. So if the local, there was one at the one local club Clarendon where I went in the afternoon and it rained and I shot the whole local just to kind of prepare myself for what would happen at a major. You know what I mean? Because when you go to a major, you can't just be like, well, I'm not going to shoot the afternoon. I'm just going to go home. It's like, no, you got to just see it through. So training survival in a non-survival situation has always been a bonus, in my opinion. So if you know what to wear, what to have with you, anything that can keep you comfortable through the match, regardless of the weather, climates, anything like that, definitely, definitely plays a little bit of an assistance.
Oh yeah. Well, and if you
Yeah,
how do you know you're gonna perform in the rain if you don't perform in the rain, right?
exactly. I mean, you gotta like know how to be able to shoot with a double dot. You need to be able to react with if you get water on your glasses, or if you have to run through a puddle. It's like you can't change up your methods just for one weekend. You have to put yourself in all the elements and try at least as much as you can. You know, what I mean, when I was at Greater Pitt, we shot all winter long outdoors and everything, and it would suck, but it would definitely make you realize like what you got to do to keep your hands warm. Having extra layers on, bringing an umbrella, it's like just different things that if you don't put yourself in that, you can only really just kind of have an imagination, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, until your feet get soaking wet and your hands are soaking wet, you don't realize how cold and crappy it can be and how hard it is to handle your gun and everything else like that.
Oh yeah. Exactly. So after Buckeye, where'd you go after Buckeye?
I think I snuck into Mid Atlantic. I think that was down at Onalani. I think that was the next one on the list, I believe. It was Mid Atlantic and then Area 8 was after that. Yeah. So it was
Okay.
Mid Atlantic and Onalani. Yeah.
Yep. That's over there by the Pennsylvania Jersey border kind of zone, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like from Pittsburgh, it was like 3 hours, 45 minutes driving wise. So yeah, you're closer towards like the New Jersey, Maryland, PA borderline over there. So
Gotcha.
a lot of good competitors there. It was definitely a fun match. A lot of different flavors and balances to the stages. You know, what I mean, different tests of skills and stuff. They didn't have that big pendulum like they sometimes do, which is cool. But still, you had wobble bridges, far field that was at a distance that would be a challenge, and you definitely had to pay respect to it. I like the layout of that range. You know what I mean? It's very kind of compact with how the stages are, meaning like getting to each one of them, but then the layout of the stages still gives a nice balance of what they can do with what they're working with. And it's a fun match. I really did. I had a really good time there, and I can't remember. I think I was on the podium. I think for that one for Carry Optics. Um,
Yep, you were.
it was it was definitely a fun match. Like I say, it's good when you go to different majors and you get the different flavors of what the match directors and stage designers are trying to do. And like Area 5, I've been like researching that range up there, and they seem to like to have the long paper and steel and different different stuff like that. So
Yes,
you
yes,
got
I do. Yes, I do.
yeah, so you got to kind of play to the matches you're going to. If you're going to see stages where normally there's longer steel or stuff like that, then you're going to definitely want to work that into your practices as much as you can, because then it just gives you a little bit of a confidence level going.
Hmm.
So anything you can expose yourself to prior to the match can be beneficial as long as you're kind of training the right things. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool that like once you start going to majors and different clubs, you kind of see that not the same thing, but you get an idea of the movers and the swingers and but the way they set them up and the way they utilize them is very good and it's still a good challenge for all levels. You know what I mean? So it was fun. Like I said, it was a good healthy balance of technical skill and movement, and then there was low ports and just regular ports and stuff like that with movers and even on the smaller bays they'd set up. There was one stage where they had two swingers set up where you had to hit it, and then on the next bay over, they had a bobber that came up, and then they had real tight partial no shoots and stuff. So even though they didn't quite have distance on certain bays, they could still make it a definitely a challenging stage for anybody shooting it.
Right. Well, and I guess, and everyone wants to be challenged, right? Not everyone wants a gimme, but everyone, everyone's going to come with a different level of preparation to the match, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like the old saying, you can never make everybody happy, but I kind of like, when I was a match director, I used to always say it's got to be like an amusement park. I mean, everybody likes roller coasters, but some people like just going on the swings. Some people like just going on the slow bumper cars. As long as everybody gets a taste of what they like and then still gets a challenge, but walks away like, man, that stage was tough, but it was still fun. Then it's like, then you kind of know you got to win. But if you make the match too hard, then people kind of complain. You make it too easy, people will think, something was up. Like, what was it, Area 5 that I think it was 2021 or 2022? I thought it was a great match. I mean, it had real far steel, that had the bobber steel on stage 5. It was really far out there. It was at the Brooklyn Club, I believe.
yep.
I thought it was a really great match. A lot of good challenging things you had to do. And it was great because day one, it really like built your confidence up. And then day two is when you got into the second zone was a little bit more technical and tough and it would definitely take your lunch money. So it's a challenge. You know what I mean? You want to try and keep everybody happy and coming back, but in the same time, you got to kind of work your magic the best you can, as they say, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely gotta work your magic. Now I'm curious. It made me think of an old match. You had to make me think of 2022 Area 5. Now I gotta dig the hole.
I mean, every match has its great challenges. I mean, even like Leif's Kentucky match was Bay 9, the big 125, 150 yard one that they can
That you
put
have to
far.
walk all the way to the back to go pace the targets. It's like,
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Though those are the great challenges that when you go there. Like, all right, I know on this bay there's going to be some fun there. You know what I mean?
oh, it's and they're always a wind sucker too.
All right.
Last year at 2025 Kentucky, I was shooting with Joey and Michael. Can't else. I can't remember exactly everyone else who was on my squad, but we started on the wind sucking stage. It was like, all right. So I mean, the only thing is, we don't have to come back down here at the end of the day to shoot this stage.
You say you got to find the sugar in the shit. You know what I mean? That's
Oh yeah, and it's like those stages. It's like you just one of those. It's their first stage of the day. Don't lose pace by not being able to run efficient. Like run hard, right? Like people when they run, they like, especially with a gun, right? They don't run very fast, right? and it's like they lose all this time. Not even in the shooting. It's like in the non-shooting bits, right? Just from the lack of effort in running. Like that's a big like. If you take somebody's same exact stage run, like same splits, other than the fact that they gave 50% or 75% more effort in running, like between those long positional, spots, half their time would shrink.
Yeah, I mean that's even. I always tell people a lot of times if you have like a treadmill at
Mm-hmm.
home, have your gun in your hand, just kind of see how your body reacts. Running on a treadmill, walking on a treadmill. You can even practice shooting while moving using a treadmill. It's a really it is. That's why like getting video of your stage is really good because in your mind's eye you think you're doing one thing, and then when you watch the video, it's like, oh, wait a minute, that didn't. People say, oh, I was shooting that while I was moving, but then you were still stationary, or it's like you
Mm-hmm.
think you were getting out of position, but yet it's like you weren't really gaining the distance that you thought you were. So I tell people all the time, like if you can use like basic ladder drills and have your belt and your gear on and just move with the gun in your hands and see how your body has to react. You know what I mean? See what you have to do so that the gun works with you and not against you. You know what I mean? Because that's basically a weight inertia in your hand, and it can either help you or hinder you. You know what I mean, depending on what you're doing with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, take all those variables out and see what you can do. But yeah, editing, reviewing your video is big. Uh, um, sometimes like when people send me video, or I'll see buddies' video on social media, it's like you watch it for the enjoyment first. Like, oh, this is cool, right? They did pretty well, and then you get to start nitpicking at it, right?
Yeah.
Especially when they're guys who are not as good as you, and then you're like, oh, do you want the laundry list or do you want like the 3 bullet points? But yeah, or
Yeah. That
sometimes it's
matters.
just in decision making too, right? People making bad stage plan decisions.
Oh yeah. I mean, just there's so many different things where like I always tell people like look at a stage and break it down like on a pie chart. Like all right, transitions, draw, movement, positions, stuff like that. And then the more detail you put in your planning and execute, it makes the execution a little bit easier. And that's where sometimes the technical skill. I mean, where if a stage plan dictates going one way, and this is like the old classic saying, right? Like if you got to go that way, you have to be able to go that way. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So if it's you have to reload to your weak hand side, or you need to be able to retreat and move around, or the more skills that you have in your toolbox, as they say, that really makes the difference. And even like when I do dry fire, I video all my dry fire, and it's
Hmm.
good, like scaling factor because then you can kind of see where live fire to dry fire comparison, like is it helping you or hindering you? Because at every level, it can be doing both, whether you're in C class or GM. It can be very you have to be very detailed in what you're doing. Like you said, you can either give people the laundry list, and some people want that, or some people just want the pat on the back and like, hey man, that was a good job, and keep it up. You know what I mean? But you always have to hold accountability for yourself. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like talk down on yourself or kick yourself, but you got to realize like if you're a C class shooter, it's gonna be very hard for you to compete with a GM. You know what I mean? Because the GM's on demand abilities are just what they're realistically trying to do. They're not even pushing really at 100%, but they're definitely not out there just trying stuff. So it's like, you gotta just work your way up the mountain, as I say, and it's the amount of time you put into it. I mean, dude, I do a lot of dry fire. Try to live fire at least once a week in the wintertime, if not twice. And it's fun. My buddy Rob Epifania has a thing where he talks about like the 50-50 where, if you train for a whole year straight and then you take 2 months off, you're going to see a little bit of a decrease, but it's not going to be something that's like, oh crap, I forgot how to do this. But if you do it where you've only been training for 3 months and then you take a year off, there's going to be like a kind of a hindrance, if you'll say, when you come back to it. But right now
Hmm.
in the winter, this is where you can either maintain or you can try to gain or you can almost lose it in a sense.
Thank you for checking out another episode of Manny Talks Shooting. I greatly appreciate it. And if you could do me a favor, please go patronize our partners when you are available. We have always, as the title sponsor, G2 Custom Guns. We've got Outdoor Dynamics, Make Stuff Better, 2 Alpha Apparel, Range Panda, Laugh and Load, Hunter's HD Gold, and Southern Bobby Q. Now, thank you. Let's get on with this episode.
So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the time off you can take, and and the effort and the diminishable skills, especially with a pistol, are huge. If you're not touching your gun or thinking about it, or I mean, it's like riding a bike sometimes, but it's definitely not at the same level of, you get on that bike, you might be back needing training wheels instead of being on a pro level mountain bike that has all the whiz bangs and know how to ride the bike, blindfolded and
because I'm not opposing to a break. Like personally, I like to take a break on my birthday, which is in December, and then kind of through like the holidays and into the New Year. Meaning that if I don't touch the gun or dry fire, I'm not like, oh man, this is But it's also if I do touch the gun and dry fire or go live fire, all right, cool. You know what I mean? But I always say it's good to do that, but also don't make it like too long. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm gonna take a break for a month, and if you have to, because I get there's life priorities, families, home. What I mean? Not everybody can dedicate their time. So even like I've told you, like even if you put 10 minutes into basic fundamentals, just keep your draws and your reloads good. You know what I mean? That's 2 things you're always gonna do on stage. So if you can at least keep those 2 fundamentals kind of crisp, you know what I mean? It's at least it's a benefit versus not touching the gun at all.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Touch the gun, getting those good reps in, finding the time and being disciplined about it, right? When you always hear about the guys like, I dry fired for 3 hours today in one session. I'm like, are you really dry firing for 3 hours? Or did you say you were dry firing, but then you scrolled your phone for 3 hours while you were in the dojo?
Yeah, it's funny because I've heard that before, and I will admit, like, dude, when I first got into this, I did dry fire a lot. You know what I mean? Because I just figured the faster I could catch up to everybody else, the better. And I will admit, like, at first I was like obsessed with, like, I'd get home, I'd dry fire, I'd do more, and I'd do this. But then I think as you get progressively more and like level up, I guess would be the best way of putting it. Like, you'll find that your dry fire can be very detailed and you can get a lot of great reps and then walk away after 15 minutes and it's like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a threshold where if you're in it and you're really like, yes, this is great, cool. But if you're just doing it to kind of do the motions, it's like, all right, but also be okay with like, are you getting the best results out of it? And sometimes on the days when you don't want to dry fire work out is when you like get a breakthrough or all of a sudden something starts working that didn't work the day before. And, it's definitely how much you want it. Like I know a lot of local guys that, like Gabe Simpkins is a name that the dude went from C class to basically M class in about 7 months. And when people look at the amount of time that this dude puts in with training and dry fire and then live fire and stuff, and it's, the same with like my buddy David Lee, PCCGM. And when you see the amount of work that these guys put in, that's what makes them grow as fast as they do. I mean, I've heard on other podcasts where it's, you see a guy starts progressing after a year and he's beating other people. It's like, well, what is he doing or what is he obtaining knowledge wise or what's he going through, and what's making him get to where he's at? Because, I mean, there's hundreds of YouTube videos and trainers and everything, but it's like, what are you actually doing for yourself? Because everybody can be a hybrid, but you have to play your strengths and then you still have to focus on your weaknesses more, I think, than your strengths. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't always get the pat on the back, be like doing the things you're always good at, right? There's always things to be able to progress and take those farther. But if you're not willing to eat the crap sandwich of, all right, I suck at doing these things and I need to turn the crap sandwich into a regular sandwich, you're never really going to progress, right? Everyone's probably good at a draw to first shot, right? Just present the gun, draw it, right? But if you're not good at your transitions, that really fast, amazing draw is not going to do you any good. I mean, unless it's literally just shoot one round, If every stage was draw and shoot one round, there'd be a lot of really good shooters in this sport.
It's kind of like I look at like how I said like the pie chart, right? So like on a stand and shoot small stage, right? Like the draw does matter. Like if you have to have a draw that's 1 second because everybody else is doing a 1 second draw, then you have to have that because just of the time frame. Now, if it's a big field course where you're on a start stick and you got to run 10 feet to the first spot, the draw isn't as bad. You know, I mean, it's not as big of a part of the pie chart. So, that's where I kind of look at, because certain stages, yes, you have to have a great unload start, or you have to do this, or you have to have that. And even if you only see it once in a match, that can sometimes be the thing that separates you from everybody else or gains you on somebody else. And that's why I kind of like about like dry fire, because anything that's not firing the gun that I can get faster at and gain tenths on you without even shooting or anything else, I like doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like weekend strong hand. That's something that I worked a lot just in the beginning because I used Steve Anderson's 12 drills, and that was one of them. Just weekend strong hand. You know what I mean? Like, and now I love when I get up to stages like that. Like I would pretty much when I started doing this, it was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to what everybody else doesn't like to do, and I'm gonna make those my strengths and make it so like when I see this, it's like, all right, I got this, and it seems to have to where it kind of just trickles down and helps everything else out. You know what I mean? But you definitely have to train everything. The stuff that you don't like at a match, you should be training it at least 25 to 30% of your time. Like I always tell people, weekend is only weekend because we don't practice as much as stronghand. That's really kind of I'm sure other people have said that, you know what I mean? But if you don't do reloads, you can't expect to have great reloads. If you don't even practice draws or unload starts or surrender starts or hands on marks, you just have to push yourself. And that's the only way. Neuroplasticity of the brain.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. Why are you using so many big words, Drew? You and your big words. We all know you don't like big words. No.
When you think about it, right? Like so many people, like when you think about how you shoot, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a certain confidence level. Like when you get up, I hear somebody go like, "Oh man, I ran the tablet too long, and I didn't get time to shoot my stage and this and that." Well, you have to give yourself that time.
Yep.
Like you have to give yourself mental prep. Like I always tell people, it's like going on vacation. You don't just jump in the car, pack some stuff, and go, "All right, well, we'll figure it out once we get on the road." Like you're gonna try and do some detailed planning. What way am I taking? What hotel are we staying at? Are we need to stop or anything, right? Because
Right.
you're making it as smooth as possible so just everything goes good, right? And you have a good time. You should do the same thing with a stage plan. You know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
more deep you put into it, the more effort you put into it, usually will gain results. And sometimes that goes down with how you talk. I mean, I know this is like a Steve Anderson and all this, but if you're real with yourself and say like, dude, I got to be respectful in the steel, it makes the difference. It'll feel slow, but just shoot it. Or it's just weird. Like your mental game can really mess with you if you're not doing the right thing. Like, don't get me wrong, dude. Being accountable and like holding yourself to things and because you have to get better, that's cool. But if you're gonna sit there and come up to me and just tell me how you just got 9 no shoots and you did everything wrong, and this sucks and this and that, I don't really want to be around Debbie Downer. At least
Mm-hmm.
not during, you know what I mean? Like after the match, cool. We can talk like it all you want, but
Yep.
during, wash that shit off and move on. Excuse my
Just
language.
remember, the guy who shoots the most mics has to buy the first round of beers. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, look, you make little deals like that or something. You know what I mean? To keep it interesting, do whatever you gotta do. But me, I mean, dude, I give myself from the time I leave the bay to the time I get to the next bay to be boo-hooing or crying about something. But I've found that honestly, man, I can make a mistake at a match in the morning, and you'll ask me about it in the afternoon, and I will have a hard time remembering it, just
Mm-hmm.
because either bottom with is so much fun and we're messing around, or there's just other stages that I'm like, I'm gonna do really good on this one. You know what I mean? But you can't dwell on the past. You can only focus on the future in the moment type stuff. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's like it only comes with experience. You know what I mean? Like once you start getting into a bigger match, and then it comes with it's like driving a clutch or a manual, man. You can explain it as much as you want, but until people actually do it, there's a different explanation, I guess.
Right. Well, yeah. Like at Area 5 last year, you didn't have much time to be grumpy about anything because we were in the golf cart. We were like, oh, we're here. We're gone.
And look, man, I find the sugar in the shit. If I get to ride around in a golf cart all day and I don't have to lug my bag around, there's a cooler I can keep my drinks in it. Dude, why am I complaining? You
Right?
know what I mean? It's a great day, regardless of what I do on the stages. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a you got to find those little things, and that's why I say it's like those little victories, man. If you don't find them, why even showing up? You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yep, that's for sure. Exactly. So, okay, so Area 5, I think, we shot that match together. We were on the squad. We had the D2 crew. We had a really good squad. I couldn't complain about that squad at all. Except Colin needs to pay attention more about pasting. But he'll never hear the end of that one from Chris.
It happens. Believe me, like you said, it'll never be lived down.
That's for sure. And it's not even like it's not even like he did it on purpose. It's like, oh no. But
Yeah, that stuff happens. That's why it's kind of a. I'm weird. I'm one of them. I'll ask all the ROs. Like, I'll wait till I hear that scoring complete, and then I'll start pasting because you know what? I don't care if it takes me 30 seconds longer to paste and reset steel. That is way shorter than having to call the RO for reshoots or you know what I mean. 'Cause that's just prolongs the day, brings down the energy.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Now the I think the coolest stage, at least for me, was that the turning target stage at Area 5. That was a hoot.
Yeah.
You had to go first on that one.
That's I mean, dude, like that's I guess what I talk about like this the stage flow, of different matches because you get different tastes of different things. You know what I mean? So like how you say like everybody has a favorite match or favorite stage, and it's wild how it's like you always remember that stuff. Not to interrupt.
I just remember the grunting noises you made after your run. That was more
Yeah, you'll hear that from time to time. You know what I mean? So that's like a prime example, right? So like that stage, you know, you only have so much time, right?
Yep.
Like either, and that's a trap stage, right? So it's either you try to go for it, and you know you're going for it because you know you can hit all those targets, but then it's like if you don't really feel like you can, then like you tell yourself, okay, let's do some stage math here. If there's 8 targets or what was it, 10? I think it was like 8 or 10 targets. But it's like, you know, if you try to blaze through all of them and you throw garbage points, it really doesn't help. Yes, you achieve the time, woohoo, fun, but it's also like you have to be real with yourself of like, okay, like how we walk the stage, right? Like take this target, take the inside target because it disappears quicker, and then you have these two. Like the detailing of the plan because when you only have that one chance to run it, you either just commit or oops, you know what I mean? And that's like kind of the same thing, right? Like on a stage like that, the draw matters,
Hmm.
right? Like if your draw is 1 second, great. If your draw is 2 seconds and it's 6 second stage, not leaving yourself much time for processing on targets. So I guess
Yeah.
for me, stage like that, I just tell myself do my great normal draw. I have a great body index, so I know as soon as that dot comes up on target, I can just be banging these first 2 targets and move. And it was wild because it's fun too. Like shooting those like that part time style stage. It's fun because when you complete it, like yeah, it's fun, man. I think you hear everybody else kind of cheering, so it's like I guess maybe sometimes if people were kind of doubting themselves and they go, well, yeah, he did it, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? Now that can be a trap though, like I said. You know what I mean? So but there's it's cool to see stages like that. You know what I mean? Different styles and flavors, and some people they don't like that stuff. Other people, hey, you know what I mean? See what happens and go with it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the cool thing is, like, not every range has turning targets available to them, right? That's a cool thing about when you shoot a Magic Cardinal, you're most likely able to shoot something similar to that. So,
No, that's yeah. I mean, like that's just the layout of the land, right? Like I embrace it as like, all right, dude, cool. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? I've never got to show this before. I've got a few minutes here to watch everybody else shoot it, and then see what happens. You know what I mean? And that's where I kind of think back to the mental game, right? Like if you walk up to that and be like, "Oh man, I can't make all these targets," you're probably not even giving yourself a shot. Like if I
hmm
walk up and I'm hitting all these targets, okay. Now it's am I hitting all these targets with great points, or am I just getting up here and my goal is just to hit all these targets? Because you might not have the best points, but the same sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of you got to go into it just thinking like, hold my beer. I'm gonna do the best I can. And
Right.
whatever happens, you know what I mean?
You know,
And
there's no better phrase than "hold my beer, watch this."
I mean, dude, I love movers on a stage. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if people don't practice those, or if they don't understand like the delay of them or how to shoot the array, those can be definite passing lanes in a match that a lot of people don't even pick up, even just on a stage. You know what I mean? Like there's like when we shot, what was it, Buckeye Blast, that's those stomp pads. You know what I mean? Just having to run to each one of those and then just get the timing of it. There's a lot going on there, but if you can kind of understand that, it's like it almost makes it slow down. You know what I mean? Where if you're like, all right, I'm going to come into here, take the open paper, swing her on first pass, swing her on second pass, leave on the steal, right? Like it's just then okay, that's what you commit to, and I think it's fun, man. I think that's why majors are really fun because it gives you a flavor that not many locals can do. I'm not saying that locals can't, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, but there's definitely a different like aura and energy about majors than just most locals.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I don't know if it's about the importance of a match or the levels of details put into the match or the perceived importance. You know, there's always different levels of making a match more important.
Oh, I think it's all. I think it's all the above. 'Cause like you said, I mean, it's the how many people do you hear like, oh man, I don't want to DQ a major because I spent all this money, this and that. So I mean, there's definitely a different level to it, but that's also kind of like how you treat it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? If like, going into it cautious, you might never see your full potential. You know what I mean? Like if you get DQ'd at a major, okay, well if it was something you did, that's on you. You know what I mean? If it was moving a certain way or doing this, it's like, okay, well that's just you either tried to do something that wasn't in your skill set or maybe just wasn't your day. You know what I mean? But the experience you get from a major and then going back to locals or it definitely helps. And I tell people all the time, go to majors. Like even if it's your first year, go to a major, get the feel of it, see how fun it is. It's the same thing as locals. If you go there and tell people it's your first major, there's got to be people that are going to help you. You know what I mean? I've never been on a squad where I've never met people that weren't willing to help or, guide people. That's kind of the cool thing about this sport. Is when you get around the country, you kind of see how everybody's kind of in that same kind of like we're here to have fun, we're here to compete, let's keep it safe, but let's also make sure, you know, it's a goal, have fun. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and even if you're like, your first time going to shoot, your first major, you can learn things from those majors to make your local matches better, right? Like cool things you see at your majors. You're like, we can bring this back and do something similar to this at our local match, and you can make the shooters better, right? Like going to big matches helps increase shooters' skill sets, right? Like because you don't always see these challenges, but if you can bring those challenges to your local match, it's like they went to the major, right? Because not everyone can afford that. Like, no, not everyone can take the time off work or the cost of shooting it or the travel or the Airbnbs.
I totally agree. Like, dude, when I was match director at Greater Pitt, that's all I would do is just grab major match books, either stuff I shot or matches I wanted to go and shoot. And, if I had the ability to set it up in one of the bays, I did. I mean, we would shoot Euro Extreme, World Shoot, different majors. And as a match director, it just kind of made my life easier. Even like you could put surveys on and go, okay, pick one of these match books, guys, and we're going to build these stages. You know what I mean? It's definitely fun and it's tough because locals are volunteers. You know what I mean? So like the level of detail you're putting into it and, the caliber of match depends on the volunteers and the setup crew and the people that want to help. And, there's a lot that goes into it. You know what I mean? After I was a match director and everything, and I have a great respect for every RO and every staff person at every major.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially those hot ones that they're just baking in the sun. It's like, oh, this sucks. Like, and then you're like, you thank them, and then they're very happy. Uh, and the staff are always the nice ones, right? They're the ones who they don't have to be the bad guy. I had to DQ somebody last year. Uh, they were going from right to left. They had to do a reload right-handed shooter. They didn't keep, and they were going from the front right to like a midpoint left spot in the stage. So they had their muzzle pointed up range. Fortunately, I'm like, man, stop. Tell them. Fortunately, hey, this is what I saw. But hey, go grab your video. Go look at all your video. The range master is going to come. I'm going to tell him what I saw. But if you have video to prove me otherwise, I'll be more than happy to get you back in this match. But
Right.
the dude was appreciative, and it's like, you know, I I like that there's video review now to help you, like help the shooters out. Be like, oh yeah, yeah, I totally broke that, or not. But it's the staff have the hard. The staff on the stage always have the hard part, right? But they don't have to be the bad guy either, though. They can be just like they can push it onto the match, the range master, and make them deal with it.
I'll tell you what, man, it pays off to be just respectful and nice. I mean, dude, I had a early in my career, I want to say it was 2021. It was Battlefront North Coast, and an issue where I was getting ready to make ready. The ROs came up to me and asked me if I was the next shooter and all this, and I said yes. And I turned and looked up range. Behind me, I heard somebody yell, "Make ready." I assumed it was the RO. I called my no. There was no ROs downrange. There was nobody downrange. It was clear. He goes, "Stop." My bad. And he, holster up and everything. He's like, "I got DQ. I didn't say make ready." And I'm like, "Sir, I heard somebody say make ready." You know what I mean? I was like, whether it was you, somebody in the squad, RO, whatever, I heard the make ready command. And I was very respectful. Didn't do anything. Didn't make any fuss. Range master came, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. Forgive me, but he's like, he's like, I can teach you a lesson. One of two things. I can either DQ you and send you home. He's like, or you can make visual confirmation with every RO that they say make ready. Because he asked me, he's like, did he say anything to you before make ready? And I told him how he said, are you the next shooter and all that. And according to the rules, RO is only allowed to say make ready. So they watched me for the next couple stages, but I can tell you now, dude, every time you see me at a major, I will look that RO with the timer in the eye, and he'll tell me make ready, and then I make ready. Because until that, not happening. So it's definitely beneficial. I mean, even in early in my career to local, dude, I got DQ to a local for holstering up past the 180 mark, but it was my own doing because I told Kevin Blake, the guy that runs Clarendon, he was the RO. I was like, dude, I want you to RO me like it's a major because I had a major coming up, and I didn't want any like favors or like hand me, like, oh no, that's too alpha. Like I wanted it to be done like how you would at a major, and like I said, ever since then, it's just you learn those weird little things and they stick with you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it sucks if you get DQ'd. It's happened to everybody. How you conduct yourself and how you handle yourself makes a difference. Because I've seen some people go the other route with it, and it's like you're not helping yourself, dude. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it's like you said, dude, as a match director, RO, or range master, anything. The last thing we want to do is DQ people. I mean,
Right.
dude, when I charge anything, I try my very best to tell them, like, look, be safe, do this, like, try, be hold accountability, right? But like, unless it's like something sketchy, right? But in the same sense, it's like you got to draw that line, right? Like if you call stop and he falls and discharges the gun, somebody gets hurt. Now you got a whole new situation. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's been times in the past where we've heard about that where competitors fall, gun goes off. Luckily, nobody's hurt. But in the same sense, if you're not being a safe shooter and you're doing sketchy shit, sorry, dude, you deserve
Right.
what you get.
Oh yeah,
You know?
absolutely. But yeah, I agree with you on that. So I do want to segue a little bit. I'm going to segue into. We're going to skip past the rest of the year. We're going to talk about your birthday surprise, right? um, how is the transition from the Plastic Fantastic to your LO Blaster? Like, what's been some of the hurdles you've had to tackle, like, and all that?
Uh, biggest right off the bat, obviously going from a striker fire polymer to a 2011 with a lot more weight. Um, mechanic, even with all the brass, backstrap, tungsten guide. It was still like only like 41 ounces, where my 2011 now I think is like 52 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it definitely, the trigger is phenomenal. I mean, there's nothing comparable to a 1911, 2011 style compared to a striker fire. The grip was something I had to relearn a little bit. Um, it was more just of getting a good index out of the holster, stuff like that. Really said, really haven't made any changes on anything. Like I said, Dan's got a extended mag release. It's like one of those old paddle ones, just to kind of help get mags out a little bit better. I mean, I even drove up to his house, dude, and had him show me like how to break the gun down, how to clean it properly, like what to do, what not to do. Because I just didn't want to do something and then have to call him and be like, "Sorry, man, I kind of screwed this up a little bit." You know what I mean? But the transitions. It's weird because you don't have to force the gun as hard, but then it's also like it's got a lot better balance to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So shoot the gun phenomenally flat. Like even now that I've got a hand load really kind of dialed in for it, even with like a 124 or 147 just factory stuff, it was shooting really nice just right off the beginning. You know what I mean? And now that I've got a few months in with dry firing with it, I've got all the fancy blisters. I can't, you can see them all in there, but all those nice new calluses and blisters are all made their way in there, and everything's good to go. And it's just getting the fundamentals, dude. It's like almost being a new shooter again, but having an advanced mind. You know what I mean? So like you can kind of pick up on things like the belt draws, pretty good. Surrender above is okay. Hands on mark, working on it. Like strong hand draws, great. Weak hands, working on it. You know what I mean? There's things that it's kind of like the same thing over again, but you just kind of know where you can get into like so like reloads. I work those for 5 minutes in the morning, and then every drill at night has reloads worked into it. First, second, third pouch, just because why not? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a you, you have to learn everything. So even like the mag setups and the pouches and everything, you know, I kept them the same as carry optics, like same setup, same placement. The holster's a lot nicer, I'll admit that. Being able to kind of do like a scoop draw. You're only gonna lift the gun like an inch versus what 3.5, 4 inches makes a big difference. Um, just the fit and finish alone. You know what I mean? Dan's gun is just it's just a masterpiece work of art. You know what I mean? There's nothing that compares to it in a sense. And, you know, being able to, I thought working the safety would be like the biggest thing, but really wasn't. You know what I mean? It's more like you said, getting used to like the transitions and moving with the gun. There's definitely a difference there. And you only pick up on it, I think, unless you're in like the live fire or like a match situation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like dry firing at home, I've worked on things and I can see how different things work now with it. And I also told myself if I want to keep the same level of competition that I did with the Canic, that I've got to work really hard with it. Like it's not just be something that's given. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just be one card doesn't mean that I show up to a match and think like, oh, now I got 2011. I'm just gonna smear the floor with everybody. Like I know that there has to be a level of dedication to where it's like a part-time job. Like think about it, you don't want to go to your part-time job sometimes, but man, it's nice when you get those paychecks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Plus, my thing is, dude, I don't like scrolling for my name. It sucks more scrolling for your name or getting up and dry fire and training and working. So,
Here's what I wish. I wish Practice Score had a feature to sort by alphabetical. And be like, well, there we go. We do it by alphabetical by last name, right? Like it does it for the squad, but why can't it just do for the results and be like, and then everyone's placement of placement um is it's not in order, but it's like, all right, Maruski or Drew. There you go. There it is, right there. No one wants to scroll.
nah, because what it was, man, back in the day, like when I did my first major, you use locals and stuff, and you're like, man, I got this and this and that. And then you go to your first major, and then it's like, whoa, keep scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. And it's like, all right, I I see now what the game's really about. And don't get me wrong, there's three different levels of competitors. I mean, this has been said before by I think Steve Anderson and many others, but like you got your guys that just like to show up and hang out and have fun, do whatever. Then you have your like local hot dogs that like they dominate at locals or do really well, and then you have the guys that want to take it to like the major match performance level. There's a difference. I mean, I've even said that with every class we shoot. Like, dude, a person that just gets into A class is not the same as a person that's getting ready to leave A class and become a master. And same with master and a GM, and even GM and like major match GMs. You know what I mean? There's a definite, like, I never discredit anybody that gets a G card. Like, dude, if you put the time in, you did it, great. But there is a difference of performance at a major with the consistency versus at a local. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I shot all last year, all my majors just in CO. I just wanted to see what I could do over those matches. And then even if I shot my same mechanic just in limited optics because I figured that would be a harder challenge at locals because most people with 2011s and all that are in limited optics, and I didn't change anything on my gun. It would just shoot the same carry optic setup, and then I even shot open minor a couple times just to really push myself to see what I can do.
Right. Well, and the nice thing is you've got these attitudes about it and being able to do it, and put yourself to a pressure skill test, right? Like you're like, oh, I'm shoot open minor. It might not be as competitive as everybody, but I'm gonna push myself and see what I can do, right? You know.
It's one of those things where people get kind of lost in the sauce, right? Like so many people train to rank up and then go to a major and they're kind of like upset because it's like, oh well, I just got into this one, but it's like, well, dude, there's always going to be a first and there's always going to be a last. There's always going to be that first major you do where you're in the new classification or local or whatever it is, but it's just your mindset of you just show up and shoot how you would. Even like classifiers at locals, I just look at them as a short course of fire because you wouldn't try and hero a zero stage at a major. So why would you try and do it at a local?
Exactly.
Now, if you're shooting just your on-demand abilities and you're able to make like high master or GM or A class, whatever it is, then great because that's you just shooting at your on-demand abilities. But if you try to like hero or zero it, or you're going to try and go big, it might not be as beneficial as you think. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like I use classifiers at home in dry fire, but I don't use them in the sense of like setting them up. I look at like, okay, this is a table start, unloaded, right? Okay, I'm gonna practice those and see how quick I can get those onto a target. Or I'm gonna step into a box. You know, what I mean, like, you can measure anything you want, but I'm still working a skill that can be used on any other stage. So I'm not just wasting a whole. And I don't want to say wasting because that's the wrong way to say it, but you're not just getting hyper focused on like a TikTok or a can you count or this and that. Like now, if you want to work it to get that crispy draw, great, awesome. If you want to do it to work and get really good reload, awesome, great. But in the same sense, you have to work other things. Like I like working a lot of movement and mini stages and like low ports and just stuff that sucks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But if you make that normal, there's nothing that matches that'll really get in your head, at least on like the stage side of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. You put yourself in those positions, and then it makes your match experience a lot better, right? When you real
Yeah.
ease yourself, and you make your training more like a match, it's gonna make it have a better experience and a better outcome when it comes to be match day, right? Like the guys you see hero and zero stages and then be all butt hurt. It's like sucks to suck right now, guys, because it doesn't do you any good. No offense to I had a couple buddies who are like, "Oh man, I want to class up." I'm like, "Bro, but you're not even winning your class at majors. Like, do you want to be even farther down the docket list?" And then, but everyone does these. They have their different goals and hobbies inside of our sport, right? Now, if it's to their goal is to be class up to whatever class they want, it's like, attaboy, it pushes them to train and it pushes them to go to the matches and hang out. So, and everyone's there for different reasons.
Totally is, man. I mean, dude, nobody started out as a GM. Everybody was a new guy. Everybody was a new female, male shooter, whoever. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's a whole process to the game. That's for
Hmm.
sure.
Oh yeah,
And you can't
absolutely.
buy it. There's no buying it. I
Mm-hmm.
can assure you that you can try and buy the most expensive gear, best gun. I mean, don't get me wrong. That will aid you. That will help you. But you have to put the time in. You have to put the reps in. Like you said, you have to go to the matches that it sucks or it doesn't make. Like, dude, I'll go to locals and I'll shoot a stage or the whole match strong hand only. Like I said, I don't care about the results. I don't care. It's just something to push myself. So if there's a smaller stage at a local, it's like, well, a major I might see is where we have to shoot the last three targets weak hand only, or we might have to shoot the whole stage strong hand only. So I'll just do that. And I don't care what my results are for the local that day or whatever. It's what did I do on that stage?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Same with like shooting open minor when I did IPSC matches at Greater Pitt. I didn't change my gear. I didn't want to. There was no reason. I'm not doing that for that. I'm just trying to run with all the open gun times and see what they do. And it's all about pushing the accuracy a little bit more. You know what I mean? But it's also like you have to find the time. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because Charlie's is minor, it hurts way worse than major. So I've either got to find the raw time or I've got to be more accurate or both.
Right. Yeah. And you know, when you push yourself and you give yourselves these obstacles and challenges in training, right? Because at the end of the day, a local match you can be used to expose yourself to adverse conditions, adverse stresses, right? And might as well sometimes make it a little bit harder for yourself than it has to be. But at the end of the day, it's all training value.
And I mean, it's a local. You have time invested. You know, what I mean, you have your entry and stuff, but still, try it. See what happens. You never know. You might surprise yourself. You might unlock something. You might show yourself you have to work on something. You know what I mean? And you just have to. There's no there's no thinking that you can try and get to a certain level with just one set of skills. You have to really become okay with doing everything that's needed, which is
Hmm.
tough. You know what I mean? I tell new shooters that a lot of times, like, look, with time will come speed,
Yep.
but you need to have the good fundamentals, the good mechanics. You have to know what you're doing first before you can really push the envelopes of speed and aggression and stuff like that. Because a lot of people think they're fast, man, but they're busy. You know what I mean? They're super busy. They think they're moving fast, but they're really just kind of burning energy where they don't need to. And it's just a learning curve. I think, like you said, if you get in with a good group of people, which most clubs have, you try to get yourself in with the guy that wins the locals or the people that are consistently at the top, and you start training with them, and you will get better. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing. You got to be okay with people kind of giving you either the laundry list or the things you got to work on, or keeping you just accountable. Like, dude, if you shoot a stage and it sucks, you just got to be like, dude, what was going on? You're better than that. What's going on?
Hmm.
But it's an off pace or just something felt uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways of approaching it to make everything hold value. 'Cause even dude, like your worst losses, dude, you'll go home and train way more than driving home after you win something, whether it's a local, major, whatever it is. Like, dude, when I broke a recoil spring at CO Nats on the second to last stage, oh, you can believe the ride home was fun. How could
All
I
by
do that? How
yourself,
could I
right?
recoil spring? I just cleaned it out. How did I not see that? Or how did it bind up? This and this and that. As soon as I got home, got in my house, completely forgot about it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Get another one, train next year, and just go on with it. I mean, dude, everybody has those hiccups or those things that happen, and that's it goes back to the detail. Like, dude, make sure your equipment's up to date. Like, dude, I've seen so many people change a gun a couple weeks before major because they're doing a different division. It's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going there to just have fun, I get it, cool. But if you're going there with a competitive mindset and just trying to like switch things around, probably not going to work. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Or you won't see the results you were expecting.
Oh, absolutely, exactly, exactly. Well, man, Drew, I know it's kind of getting late for both of us. I mean, I know you're probably gonna go dry fire, but the wife's got to get us. We got to go do something for her end of our night. But hey, listeners, you're gonna enjoy this part. Drew, if you can leave one piece of advice for these people, if they haven't picked up all these good nuggets throughout this whole show from you, what's one thing you want to leave them with?
Let me think about that for a quick second. My best piece of advice would be to try the things that you wouldn't try, and nothing in the sport is easy. So when you see the dude doing really well, or female or male, whoever it is, right, just realize that there are so many hours behind the scene that they put the work in to make that one effort you see happen. So, really just be honest with yourself, find great people to train with, and just try to reach for the stars. Like, this is one of those sports, man, where you'll reach one mountain and it's just a false summit. It's just the start of another one. And that's why I kind of love it, because it'll really teach you about yourself and what you can do and what you're capable of. So just try. I mean, no, I always tell people, no slowing down. Like, dude, if you're going to do it, run with it. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
All the people we hang out with, man, it's either you bring 110%, whether you win or lose, regardless, right? Just go at it, have fun. Anything you want in life is going to come with sacrifices, and anything you get is what you deserve.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. That's some good nuggets right there, brother. I could not have said it better myself because I probably couldn't have, but it's all good. But brother, thank you for hanging out with me tonight and letting the people listen to us have a conversation. So, thank you, brother. And we'll always be chit chatting. People, if you want to hit him up, find Drew on the social medias and whatnot. But until next time, guys, get out and do the things, and I will see you the next one.
Take it easy. Thanks for having me.